So today I'm going to start my clay circle. I need some supplies before I start with the clay. I need water and a scoring tool. I would need a template with a circle on it, and then I also need a bag to store this in when I'm getting cleaned up today. So the first things that I'm going to do with the clay is I'm going to wedge it. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to press it down against the table, stand it back up and press it down, and stand it back up. And I'm going to continue to wedge it for about 10 times. This aligns it, and it also gets all the air bubbles out of the clay so that it is not going to explode or break in the kiln, okay? And then once I have that done, I'm going to just kind of shape it into a ball. Okay, and then I'm going to take this ball and I'm going to roll it into a coil, starting in my hands, just a little bit to get that cylinder shape. I want it to be round though, so if I start to roll it and it looks like this where it's becoming more of an oval rather than a circle, I can take it, just gently squeeze it back into more of a circle shape. And then I can start on the table. So when I roll, I want to roll it out long. That might mean that I roll it a couple times with my hands like this. Okay, and I'm not pressing really hard, I'm just gently rolling it between my hands and the table. Okay, so I'm going to roll it out. Once it gets longer, I can move my hands from the middle out to the sides, and making sure that I roll it all the way over. Otherwise, you don't get a nice circle shape. Okay, and it might take a little practice to roll it so that you can get a nice coil. You want the coils to be the same thickness all the way down. Okay, so you can notice mine's a little bit thicker here in the middle. So if it's thick in a spot, I could just roll that spot and make that spot thin. Okay, so now I have a coil. It seems that it's a little dry and I'm concerned that it might crack when I try to bend it. So I could take a little bit of water then and just make it a little bit more damp by covering it with water. The water will make it stretch a little bit easier too. And now I have this coil, and then I can put it on my template. Okay, and I'm going to make sure that it's long enough. If it's not long enough, then I could go back and roll it a little bit more. If it's too long, like mine is here, then I'm just going to trim it. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and trim kind of this end off here because it's a little bit thick there. And now I have that end, and then I would take this end and just trim it a little bit long. And now I can slip and score these two pieces together. Okay, so there's my circle. Slipping and scoring is the glue of clay. It is very, very important that you slip and score pieces of clay when you're sticking them together. They will stick right now when the clay is moist, but once the clay dries, they won't stick anymore and they will fall apart unless you slip and score. So scoring is scratching the clay. So I just use this tool and I scratch it. Okay, so you can see there that I've put some scratch marks in it. Okay, and then I'm going to scratch the other end. You probably should try not to pick it up too much, it does stretch it. So I'll do this one down here on the table like you should do yours. Okay, and then I take a little bit of water, and the water is the slip, what we call the slip of the slip and score technique. And I'll put water on those, and then I press them together, and I need to press it until the water kind of oozes out. And then I would smooth this together so you cannot see where the joint is. So when we are working with the clay, we will have to work with pieces, but we want it to end up being seamless, where we can't tell where we did join them together. Okay, so there's my circle. And now I can start adding my design to it, okay? So I'll get a little bit more clay, and I've wedged this already. And I'm going to divide my circle into a couple different pieces. So I'm going to roll another coil. So I'll just move this off to the side. And then I can roll another coil. Again, starting out, I can start with one hand and kind of roll back and forth, or I can start with two hands, making sure that it rolls all the way over. Okay? I probably would want this coil to be the same size as my outside coil. So those look about the same. And then I'm going to divide my coil, my circle, with a curved line like this. Okay. So to do that, I would have to slip and score these. So I'm going to go ahead and score this end, and then I would score this end, or inside piece here where it's going to stick. Okay, and then I want mine to be kind of something like this. So I would cut this so it's the right length, score where they're going to touch, and then I would add my slip, the water. Remember, this is the glue. Very important. If you were making this out of paper or something, you would have to put glue in these spots. So I would have to put glue for the slip and scoring with the clay. I want to maintain that round shape, okay? I want it to be seamless, so I need to smooth these together really well. So there I have mine divided. I'm going to just kind of bend this a little bit more. There we go. Okay. So there I have the design, start of my design. I broke the space into two. Now I can start with my pattern. So my pattern, I'm going to do a long line that goes like this. So again, I would measure it, cut it, that important step of slipping and scoring. So it's going to go right there. So score, score, slip, slip, and then press them together. So some of that water oozes out, and then smooth them together so they can't see. Okay, and then my next pattern is a series, is a broken line. Okay, so I want to make some round pieces. But if I do a broken line, and I want something like this, that won't really work because I can't have clay floating. All the clay pieces have to touch so that they're stuck to another piece. So I have some choices, okay? I could move these up so that they would be attached to this line, and I could leave a gap, okay? Something like that, because then I can slip and score them to this piece. Or I could move them down and build it as a broken line with them touching each other. So I might go ahead and make all of my pieces. Oops, make sure they fit. I'll move this up a little bit. So there I could have them like that. I do need to come back now and slip and score them all together. So score here, score on the side of this one, slip, slip, push those together. Okay. Now these I need to be careful because I don't want to necessarily smooth them together because I would lose that the shape of the dots and they'd become just a straight line. So I need to just make sure that I push them enough together that the clay is pressed and some of that water from the slip is oozing out. Okay, so I would continue to do that, and then I would continue to try to build my pattern to fill the shape. Okay.